Hello friends, my name is Emile and welcome back to some more Forza Motorsport 6. Today I'm going to be doing another race build, and my car for today, well, it's the Jaguar XJ-S that recently arrived with the new Top Gear car pack which came out just a few short days ago. Now the XJ-S is a car which, for the most part, I've been very disappointed with. It turns out this vehicle isn't particularly nice to drive stock. It has a kind of lazy V12, it has a 3-speed automatic transmission, yeah, and it's quite slow and very wallowy when it comes to its suspension. However, I'm going to see if I can improve this vehicle at all. So let's head over to the upgrade shop and see what we can do to it. First thing I'm going to do is put brakes and suspension on, because that's the main issue with this car, is the suspension on this thing. So there we go, we'll come back to the rest of that later. Oh, right, yeah. And before I forget, I'm also going to put the racing gearbox into this thing because it desperately needs it. Now, as far as where I'm going to build this car up to, I'm thinking B-Class is a good place to build this car to. So that's what I'm going to go for. Gonna get those racing tyres, gonna go for full tyre widths on this thing. It is a heavy vehicle. Admittedly, when I drove it, I didn't really feel too much weight. You can get some huge tyres on the front and some not so huge tyres on the rear. For some reason, the tyre sizes are the same front and rear, which is something you don't usually see on anything other than four-wheel drive vehicles. I actually kind of like the way it looks without the rubber bit, but I'm going to go and put some aero on this thing as well. So let's put some on the front. On the rear, it actually looks okay with the spoiler, so we'll have that. And I'm assuming this will just take that off, which I won't do, I'll leave that on. Right, as far as engine swaps goes, of course the standard V12 is okay. I mean, it produces 300 horsepower, it doesn't rev very high, but there you go. You can get a 5.7 litre V8 out of a Mustang, a 5.2 litre V10 out of an Audi R8, and a 6 litre V12 from the Enzo. And the only engine we could actually logically use is the Mustang V8, and I don't want to use that, so instead I'm just going to supercharge the standard engine. And then I'm actually going to see, yeah, okay, so I can do that. So that actually pushes the red line out quite a bit, which is one of my issues with this car. It's a V12, it's supposed to rev really high, and it just doesn't. Anyways, it turns out this is probably going to be on the heavier side when it comes to cars. I'm going to put the roll cage in as well. This is going to be one heavy car. I don't know how this is actually going to perform. Let's see if we can do some miracle weight loss on this at all. There we go. Stick the diff in as well. As you do. There we go. And let's stick a drive line on. That takes us up to B600. And now let's just see if we can get anything else in. Can we snick a flywheel in? No, we can't. Can we get a roll bar in? We can. Okay, so let's see if we can get sport rear and front, I should say. Oh, we can get street on the back. So we'll have sport on the front, street on the back. So there we go. Anyways, that is the Jaguar fully built up. But before we hit the track, I am going to do some tuning to this thing because it probably needs it quite badly. So there we go. Wait for the game to save. There we go. Right, let's drag these gear ratios in a bit. Now, I've learned that diagram down there really does not mean anything on this game, so I'm just going to leave it like that. I am going to lower the ride height to the floor. I'm going to stiffen it up a bit as well, because this vehicle was extremely soft from stock, and I believe I actually watched Fail Race do the autocross car build. I'm not sure if he put upgraded suspension, but he said it really rocks about on the suspension. So let's just stiffen everything up a bit because this could be a very soft vehicle. There we go. If it's sort of makes it so the back's a little softer than the front, which is what it does for most of these, I will do exactly the same in my tuning. To be honest with you, I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to the tuning on this game. I'm not particularly advanced enough, I should say, to really know what I'm doing with that. So I sort of just mostly do guesswork when it comes to the tuning on this, but there you go. Anyway, let's do 40/40 on that. And there we go. That's the XJ-S built up. It's quite low, admittedly. And yeah, it looks much more race car-ish now. It looks much like you'd expect an XJ-S to. Anyways, the track we're going to be heading to is the Sebring International Raceway, because I don't think we've actually driven this before for this series. So let's get into this and see what happens. My predictions, I don't really know. I've been surprised by cars several times before on this series. The Sunbeam Tiger, which we had out a couple of weeks ago, that was really good. The Mitsubishi Galant, I rear-wheel drive swapped it and stuck a different engine in it from what I remember, and that car was fantastic to drive. It was great. So my luck's been up with these race builds recently, so it's time to see whether my luck can actually hold out when it comes to the Jaguar XJ-S, which I hope it can, because I do like the XJ-S. Right, so there we go. We have a bunch of modern sports cars. Admittedly, they're all quite heavy as well, so that should be fine. So as always, I'm going to be starting in 22nd place. I do have a bit of a rant to do about the whole mod system, because I've been actually trying for the past couple of days to get to the point where I can actually get the start in last place mod, and I've got something similar to that. However, it turns me rewinds off, and for those of you who know what I'm like when I'm driving, I need the rewinds desperately. So yeah, anyways, off the line we're doing pretty well. Can we sneak up the side of this slot and not get crushed out? Yep, that was pretty good actually. I have to say, for myself, smash into the back of a priceless Shelby Daytona, as you do. Right, we're up into 13th place already. This is sort of right at the start of the race is really where you can start to climb positions. To be honest with you, the setback mods don't really matter if you can get a clean first couple of corners, because you can really make some ground. We'll go around the outside of the Daytona and up the inside of the Infinity. Coming up to an Aston Martin DBS now. Okay, so this is sort of, you know, a modern representation of this particular vehicle. Hard on the brakes. What are they like? The brakes are pretty decent on this thing, it has to be said. And overall, what I've driven of it at the moment, this is actually very, very good. I'll have to sort of tell you a bit more when I've actually busted out the pack and can start doing some more medium to high speed corners. This is where we'll test the handling through here. A little bit sideways, but grips on pretty decently well, especially for what it is. And there's no real understeer in this thing. This is actually a pretty decent vehicle. Not quite as good as the Sunbeam Tiger, I'd say, but it's probably up there with like the Mitsubishi Galant. This is actually a pretty decent vehicle. Can we go? Oh, there we go. Just a bit too much speed inside that corner. I thought I could go around the outside of the Urus, but apparently not. I should have really looked before I came on track then. That's a bit of a bad etiquette from me, but there you go. 8C is in front. That 8C is something we've been battling with for a little bit. Oh hey, the Infinity came back up after I'd got rid of it. Let's get rid of the Infinity again. Right, let's see if I can actually get past the Urus. The Urus is quite scary because the Urus is very, very big. Okay, I'm round the Urus, I believe, yep. And straight line speed-wise, how do we do? Well, apparently the Infinity is quicker than a Viper. Was not expecting that. I've driven that Viper several times before. It's a very, very nice handling vehicle. But I've honestly thought it was quicker in a straight line. The Infinity is trying to go up the inside. I think I might have left the brakes a little bit too early there, or late then, but we're still not doing too bad. So yeah, anyways, mods. So I've been trying to get the back of the pack mod for a couple of days now. I've actually spent many millions on it. I actually hit the garage limit the other day, so I've had to sell some of my vehicles. I wanted to own every single car in the game, but apparently I can't. So yeah, I've had to abandon them plans, which is a bit of a shame because I've owned every single car in the game from Forza 5 onwards, but apparently not in this game. So I was actually looking through the mod packs, and I just cannot get the back of the pack mod. And it's why I wish the mods would sort of, instead of being split up into, you know, chance for super wares, chance for this, I wish they'd just have like a, you know, split the packs into boosts, crew, and deer mods. So like, you can buy them all, let's say they're 75 grand each, and then it will just give you a random selection of dares, boost, and crew mods. I'd much rather prefer that over the card system it has at the moment. I broke a little bit too late into there. I also wasn't particularly good on the brakes. I almost ended up completely taking the side of my car off with that Viper there. So yeah, I wish that's sort of how they would do it instead of doing it like they do at the moment. We've actually lost quite a bit of fuel, and we're only on lap 2, so that's something interesting. I do like the gauges in this car. I love those like little sort of, they're almost aircraft gauges that it's got in the middle of it is quite cool. Overall, I do actually like the XJ-S. It's a pretty cool car. I was never expecting this particular vehicle to actually turn up in Forza. I don't ever think it's actually been in a race. It wasn't in Gran Turismo at all, I don't think. And I don't think it's actually ever appeared in a sort of console racing game, at least to my knowledge. It could have been in like an old Need for Speed or something, but I didn't play any of the old Need for Speed games. So yeah, it's pretty cool that the XJ-S is actually... Ooh, Kuntash, what are you doing? Apparently throwing me out. Okay, so this thing doesn't like curbs. I can't remember what... Was it the Tiger where it really didn't like the curbs? There was some vehicle I didn't like the curbs. I know the Galant was okay, other than when I like completely cocked it up on the last bit of the Galant's race. I ended up smacking a curb a bit wrong and flying it backwards from what I remember. But yeah. So pretty impressed to see the XJ-S in the game. I think one of the reasons... Oh, the Audi is going off. I almost followed him. Ooh, he smacked into the tyre wall. So did I. Bollocks. Okay, that was my bad. I was watching him go... Right, here's the thing. For those of you who, like, are a little bit confused as to why that happened there, essentially when I'm playing racing games, and it's similar to when I'm driving in real life, actually, I should probably stop doing it. I'm usually just following the car in front aimlessly, so wherever he brakes is usually where I try and brake unless I'm going for the overtake. And that's why I sort of messed up a bit there, because I followed the Audi RS7 into the wall, basically. Anyways, we're up into 6th place, so we're not doing too bad. And yeah, XJ-S, pretty cool car. I think the reason they brought it into the Top Gear pack is because this car has actually featured quite a bit on Top Gear before. This was the car, or not this particular model, but the XJ-S was the vehicle Jeremy used on the India road trip. That's the one he put silly monster truck tyres on and ended up messing up really badly. And also James May had one in the budget sports car challenge. Not the one where they went to France, but the... I don't know if you guys remember it. Jeremy had a Mitsubishi Starion. Richard, I believe, took a BMW M635. And then James brought along a Jaguar, which was incredibly unreliable, and then he ended up spending 400 quid and fixed it and made it very reliable. So yeah, to be honest with you, I wish they'd like bring out like a bonus pack at some point this month where it sort of is a send-off to the old Top Gear, and they include like some of the really old challenge cars that people loved. I just wish they'd do that. So like, I don't know, what sort of cars could they bring up? I'd love to see Jeremy's massive leaning tower of Citroen that he had in the Motorhome episode. That would be incredibly funny to have in the game. By the way, I don't think they're going to do this, unfortunately, but it would be cool if they did. What other vehicles would we like to see in the... tell me down below, what's your favourite top 7... Should we say 7? 5 or 7? Whatever. Just say what your favourite Top Gear challenge cars are in the comments below. I'd be kind of curious to see, and then maybe we could form like a sort of Top Gear best of pack where it's just all of the challenge vehicles. I'm trying to think of all the amazing vehicles they've had. I'd love to see Richard Hammond's Mini Cooper S that he had in the India one. That was pretty cool. Same with, to be honest with you, I'd like a Bug-Eye Impreza in the game anyway, so I'm not going to say. Richard's Subaru. That Mercedes has a ridiculous amount of straight line speed. I don't actually know how much power we've got in this. I should have really checked before. I think we're running about 400-ish. Apparently a Challenger Hellcat is... Oh, God. At the front. 437 horsepower. Okay. Out of a supercharged V12. So, yeah, work that one out. Anyways... right, if I can secure a podium, that's what I expect to get, but I would kind of like first place because he is in sight. Like I said, I'm kind of surprised the Challenger Hellcat has actually managed to stay ahead of all these Lotuses. You'd thought the Hellcat might get dropped down the order a bit. Having driven the Charger Hellcat a couple of days ago, that thing is insane. The Charger Hellcat really is just an absolute monstrosity of a car. I have no idea how anyone can actually drive those things. It was stupid. Admittedly, it didn't set too bad at time on the Top Gear track. What time did it do? Was it a 121? It wasn't too far off a BMW M5 from what I remember, which is sort of the golden standard of sports saloons. So that's something. Anyways, right, I've got to get through and get in front of this Mercedes through the corners, so hopefully I can have him on the straights. The issue with this vehicle is just there is no straight line speed in it, unfortunately, but it does handle really, really nicely. To be honest with you, it actually feels like you might be able to turn this into a relatively decent race car if you put some time into tuning and so on. I think maybe I should have taken some of the weight out instead of putting power in. Then again, you really can't feel the weight in this thing, which is nice. It's not something I would expect. Right, I am in front of the M6 coming onto here. Right, I've just got to essentially hold them off through the main straight, which is coming up. And to be honest with you, through these medium to high speed corners, I should be okay, provided I don't like smack a curb or anything, which is kind of likely with me. There we go, ease into here kind of nicely. There we go. Right, coming onto the straight now. Let's see how well we can perform here. There we go. Right, I think I might have a big enough lead back to the M6. That Mercedes will probably be able to catch me because that Mercedes is stupidly quick. Apparently I'm still gaining on them. He's starting to... Oh god, the braking zones, forgot about those. Come on, Jaguar, hold on for dear life. I hate this corner so much. Oh god, I don't know how anyone can... It's just such a horrible corner. I can imagine that in real life. It's absolutely terrifying. Either way, I have secured first place with my Jaguar XJ-S, and overall, pretty good vehicle. I'm not sure if Sebring's really the track for this car. It'd probably fare better on another track, but it still didn't do all that bad, which is pretty nice. Anyways, friends, I hope you've enjoyed this race build. As always, if you've got any suggestions for race builds you'd like to see, leave them down below in the comments. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching. Mine's been the Real Emile, and until next time, farewell.